Hal and Joe have gone inside the Green Lantern, where John is about to reveal the secrets of Oa to them. The dark sphere moves through the vastness of space, blotting out all around it. How far out is the world that's coming? A voice asks. Cameron Chase suddenly looks up as someone calls her name. The secretary cocks an eyebrow at her as Chase tries to shake off the dream. Agent Double will see you now, Agent Chase, the secretary repeats. Chase nods and enters her superior's office. He motions her to a seat. Cam, thanks for making the time. Sorry to pull you away from your caseload, he says. What caseload? She asks, pointing out that with her current workload, she'll be done by Tuesday at the latest. What do I do for the rest of the week? Lean back and count the ceiling tiles? Is this about Evergreen? She asks. Her superior stares at her for a moment. It's not entirely about Evergreen, he finally says, explaining that they can't put her on the Evergreen case, and every regulation says that she has to stay off it. Cameron glares at him. So, did Hector Hammond buy you a beach house or what? She asks. Moments later, she is stalking down the halls towards the building's exit. Administrative leave, my ass, she grumbles. Meanwhile, Joe and Hal open their eyes and find John Stewart sitting before them. He motions to the darkness around them that has begun to take the form of their world. All of this is Oa. Don't panic. Don't be afraid. I'm going to translate these concepts as best I can, he says softly. But the darkness returns, lit only by a circle of light and the images of the people of Evergreen floating before them. Joe and Hal stare in shock as Guy floats before them, but his body is glowing with a red light. John nods, explaining that Abin Sur is the judge of worlds, that he arrived to judge them first in Evergreen, and then transported people into the Green Lantern, and the presence of Oa. People were afraid, but no one died. You're all alive? Joe asks in shock. John nods calmly. We're all together, here in this place of understanding, and we are all without fear, John tells them both. But Hal shakes his head. His hand still glows with the dark power, his eyes black. John, thank God you're okay. But fear is all I can feel. It's the hand. The hand doesn't like it here, Hal whispers. Guy begins to speak. There are 4 levels of light. Quard is the lowest, then Rao, then Sur, then R. Chaotic action, restraint from action, correct action, total understanding, enlightenment, he says with a smile. Joe is confused. That doesn't make me want to panic any less. Is Guy okay in there? What is this place? What's the Green Lantern? What's Oa? What was Abin Sur judging us for? She demands. John explains that Abin Sur was a guardian at the green level of light. His task was to select initiates into the light. For what's coming, Guy showed restraint, so he was judged as deserving of the red flame, John tells them. What about me? Did I deserve this? Talking in my head? Telling me every dark thought I have is right? Why would he do that to me? What good is that? Hal demands. Joe nods in agreement, demanding to know why Abin Sur did this to them. That I don't know. We can't ask. He's dead. Chaotic action. All I can tell you is what I've seen and what I've learned. What's coming for us, John tells them, explaining that because he sought knowledge, he was chosen for the gold flame, Ein Ar. There are those who see Oa as incorrect. They take power from the dark, power without restraint. The Aubin Quard, the Weaponers, the Black Stars. How far out is the world that's coming, Joe? How far out is the world of chaos? How far out is the Black Star world? John asks her. He looks up. A vast dark planet moves through the universe. How far out is Mogo? John whispers. Hal's eyes widen in fear as he looks at the dark planet. That's it. That's the thing in my head. It's the size of a planet, and it's in my head. Hal gasps. Enemies fear the face of steel, Guy says with a smile. But Jo shakes her head. Screw this, she says. She turns back to John, explaining that she is an anomaly. All of Abensor's power, none of his knowledge. I don't know what the rules are, not like you, John. But if I don't know the rules, I don't have to stick to them, she says. She smiles and reaches a hand out for Hal. If Abensor put this crap into you, Hal, I'm betting I can get it out, she says. Hal is hesitant at first, but finally trusts his friend and reaches out for her hand. John said this is all one thing. We're all one thing. You're just at the lowest level, that's all. Somebody's gotta help you up, she says. Their hands touch, and the energy begins to pulse between the two of them, mixing and swirling until the green light begins to push back against the darkness. There you are. Black Hand, let go of my friend, Jo orders, and the darkness begins to explode out of Hal. Outside, Hector Hammond is watching the giant green lantern through a pair of binoculars. Tell me we're getting somewhere, he calls over his shoulder. His assistant nods. We're drowning in data, sir. We don't know what any of it means so far, but we will, she tells him. Hammond smiles and nods at her enthusiastically. That is what I wanted to hear, sweetie. 10 out of 10. Your steak box is in the... He begins to cheer, but suddenly, the lantern begins to glow. A green light streaks out of it and disappears. Everyone stares in shock, but suddenly, the darkness begins to flow out. The lantern suddenly spews the black liquid out, forcing it to rain down on the encampment. Sir, we should pull the scan teams back, the assistant suggests. Hector turns to her for a second. No, get the data. That's an order. This is just getting good, he snaps. They watch as the green light buzzes for a moment before speeding away. The scan teams try to track it, but lose it as it quickly disappears towards Coast City. Hector stares off into the distance in anger until his assistant coughs slightly. He turns back to her. The object, sir, it's gone, she whispers. Hector turns his look of disbelief back on the remains of Evergreen, where the green lantern has disappeared, leaving behind a lake of the black liquid. He turns to those gathered around him. Oh, you have got to be... You! What did you see? What happened? He demands of his technicians. The people put their hands up in surrender. We were scanning the whole time, but it just blinked out of existence, Mr. Hammond, one of them explains. Hammond turns away from them and begins to mutter to himself. Let me think. Nobody's got it. Not us, but not Roz. And we've got what it left us. The black ooze, all that data. It's a win. It's a win, he mutters to himself. Meanwhile, a green light flashes on the moon. A ring floating above it, and floating above that, John Stewart, glowing with the golden light. How far out is the world that's coming? Closer every day. Come back soon, Joe. John whispers as he stares out into the darkness of space. Meanwhile, Cameron Chase is alone in her apartment in Coast City, talking with her former partner, Simon Baz, on the phone, angry with being put on administrative leave just because her ex-wife is from Evergreen. "I threw her out, Simon. She wasn't there anyway. She always told me she never wanted to go back there," Cameron tells Baz. Suddenly, there is a knock at her door. Cameron puts her phone on speaker and sets it down, and gets up to answer it. "God, how many times can Sojourner Mulane screw up my life?" Cameron complains. She opens the door to find a glowing Joe standing before her, Hal leaning heavily on her shoulder. "Hey Cam, I didn't know where else to go. Can we talk?" Joe asks. And that was the complete story for Absolute Green Lantern issue 6 by Al Ewing. This was the last issue to the first volume of Absolute Green Lantern, and I'd love to know your thoughts on this series as a whole, so let me know them down below. Also, now that we've finished the first volume of all of the Absolute DC titles, keep an eye out on the channel for an Absolute DC full story supercut in the near future. So, be sure to like and subscribe to get notified when that happens. I'm Dan with Comicstorian, and we will see you next time. Rest in peace, Ben.